Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new ROG Ally from Asus, and today I will go unboxing along with a look at this device. Now, me as a gamer, I am pretty excited about devices like this because they are pretty cool. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Rip that apart. Now there is only one version of this device, so I'm gonna go over the specs in a second, but there's no other like variants of it. So I just kind of wanted to mention this. Now, that being said, let's just pop it open. We do have something here. Seriously, that's it? Just some ROG logo. I think this is the stand for it. It's made out of cardboard, or cardboard like paper. Anyway, oh, yep, herp-a-derp. I can actually see it right here. So I didn't even need to guess what that is for, but whatever. Now below here we have just info, charging, power, whatever. No one cares. I'm pretty sure we all know how to use a basically a handheld computer. Now I'll set it to the side for the moment, just so I can get a look at what's also included in the box. So here we got a brick, and I mean a brick. This is a little bit bigger than you might be used to. This is a 65 watt brick, which you can almost kind of see it, as you can see right over here. It's a Type-C. It is a non-removable plug right here. So that's a little bit of a shame, but because this is a typical charger, you could possibly just use a normal brick for charging this device that you do for charging your phone. So you don't really need to carry this. And nowadays some devices come with like really insane power bricks, like Xiaomi with their 110 watts. So you should be good to go with majority of the chargers. Now if you have one that is a little bit weaker, for instance like the Samsung ones, which have 22 watts, some of them, then obviously you still can charge the device, but the chances are you will be charging it slower than the device discharges if you're using it. And if you're not, then obviously you should be able to charge it. Now, nothing else in here. Just take that out. And in here we get... oh, just instructions. So no one cares about that one. Yeet. Okay, let's get into this. Now, I will mention one thing. This device seems relatively light, which is not something that I expected. Now, let's see if my smooth brain can figure out how to get into this without actually ripping anything. There we go. Now, to be completely honest, I could have just pulled this and probably rip it all apart, but not my style. Anyway, taking that off. Can't take it off. There we go. Wiggle it out of there. We get a look at the device, and right off the bat, I can tell you that it looks much cleaner than a Steam Deck. It's also supposedly more powerful than a Steam Deck, which is pretty good. And yeah, let's just turn it on. I need to hold it, press it. Now, it's probably apparent to you that I have never held this in my hand, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do. I guess hold it, probably. Considering pressing didn't do anything. Or it's just completely dead and I need to charge it, which is also a possibility. And it looks like it might be the more possible possibility. Yoink. Now this is I believe 22 watts. We'll see if it starts charging, and it does. You can see a charging LED right up here. Now I'm not sure if that's gonna allow me to turn it on. Well, it does. Look at that. And okay. Let's see if I can somehow get more of this cable. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly run into over the specs right here. So we're gonna start off with the display, which is a 7-inch display. It's a full HD 1080p by 1080p, so 1920 by 1080, IPS glassy display. So that's actually pretty nice. sRGB 100%. Then we got 120 Hz refresh rate, a response time of 7 milliseconds, a brightness of 500 nits, and AMD FreeSync Premium that is on the display. Pretty nice. Now, damn, it's turning on for a little bit longer than I expected. Now, this device is being powered by Ryzen, as you probably expected. And this is let me just quickly... So it is a AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor. Now, for some reason, if you navigate to the Asus website, they have like 2 versions of it, both with the same like extension, and one of them apparently has the AMD Z1 Extreme processor, and the other one has AMD Z1 processor. So one is Extreme and the other one isn't. But that's about all the differences. And for some reason, they both have the same kind of ROG Ally 2023, RC71L. Both of them have the same one. So it just leads me to believe that one of them just might be overclocked in the settings. For some reason, they are separated, but I'm just guessing right here. Anyway. Now, like I mentioned, we have the Z1 Extreme processor. It's a Zen 4, 8 cores.
Set up your device using a screen reader. Turn on narrator by pressing Windows and Control and Enter. For more...
No, shish. So, let's see if I can set it up. So 8 cores, 16 threads. And then when it comes on to the RAM, we have 16 gigabytes of soldered on RAM, so we cannot like upgrade it or swap it. And we have also a Gen 4 PCIe of half a terabyte, 512 gigs, which possibly could be upgradable, though I am not necessarily certain. Now let me just quickly sign in here. Oh wait, that's gonna be a wrong password actually. So I can already, yep, there we go. There we go, that should be good. Okay, so that's basically the internals, which I already mentioned. And it's running Windows 11, as you can possibly see. One of the downsides of Windows 11 is the fact that we do need to connect to Wi-Fi, which is like, what the F? It's personal computer, not Microsoft computer. So I would like to have the option to set it up without the internet. Would be pretty freaking nice. So yeah. Now, I don't know if there's anything else that I missed. There is one thing that I've heard, which I want to mention right off the bat, which is, as you can probably see, we have a micro SD card in here. I would probably strongly recommend right now not using it, because there has been some problems where people just insert a SIM card, or not SIM card, SD card, and because this is the vent for the heat, right? So it gets cooled and the fan blows it out. It's way too close to it, and apparently it burns your SD cards because they get overheated and just kind of die. So probably not something that you want to insert right here at the time being. Though I haven't tested it out, I haven't had any card die on me because it's not like I have used this device. But I just wanted to mention this to anyone who's planning to pop in a card. Beware of this supposed problem, and maybe research it extensively before you pop in like a half a terabyte SD card in here and have it die in the next 20 minutes. That would be very unfortunate, obviously. Okay, now, any more crap? There we go. Yes, we do have more crap. Just a moment. So let's go over the build quality and a couple additional things. So we have speakers right up here, pretty decent grills, and they they already sound pretty decent. We have our triggers. There are, what are they called? A linear, I think. It's not basically like a click like this one is. So you can hear that this one has a click. This one is linear, so it works as a typical, for instance, just to bring it in view, Xbox controller. So the more you press it, the more actuation you have in game. In racing games, for instance, if you press it halfway, that's half throttle. Obviously, if you press it fully, that's like flooring it. So the same thing applies here, which is obviously pretty nice. Then, interestingly enough, we have two additional buttons which are mappable, M1 and M2. These are on the back, and they do lay pretty nicely right under your middle finger. And they're pretty easy to press, so that's not really a problem. What is a problem is being forced into signing in. Sign in options. Can I like skip this? Forget my username. Can I do this? Oh fuck. Create one. Get a new email. No. Oh, for sakes. Windows, piss off with this. Now if I don't find a way to set it up without doing this, I'm just gonna F this, and yep, that's basically what I'm gonna do. Screw this. So we're not seeing Windows. It's just a typical Windows, nothing really to show here, apart from Windows absolute annoyance. I would probably flash this with Windows 10, just because I effing hate Windows 11. It's such a dog shit, to be honest. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I hate Windows 11. It's just it's gone. Like, it's basically, to me, equivalent of Windows Vista. I freaking hate it. So we have also a couple buttons right here. We have the typical Xbox buttons, as you can see. So just to kind of compare this, they're both the same. And we got a couple additional ones. So this one will launch, if I'm correct, ROG Crate, because this is Asus device, and it comes with ROG Crate, which allows you to control a couple different things internally, like the fan speeds, the clocks, and so on, which is pretty nice to have this at a click away to be able to change different settings. And then we have this, which I have actually no clue what it is. Now, just kind of go over anything else that we have around here. So at the bottom, we just have a couple of stickers, nothing there. We do have a logo on the side. At top, we have obviously all the buttons, our little pedals, or whatever you want to call them, fan grills, fan intake, I presume, and some more right here. And then we get our Type-C charging port and their proprietary plug. Now this, if I'm correct, which I think I am, can be used to connect a dedicated GPU. Asus sells like almost like a eGPU, I think that's how they're calling it, which was designed primarily for their laptop, like the Z13, I think it was. It was a laptop with pretty decent CPU, and you could buy something like a 3080. It was basically like a tiny little box that you'd plug in with their dedicated plug, and it would add a support to your device of like a 3080, obviously. So that was a pretty neat idea, though keep in mind it's something that you have to buy separately, and it's another thing that is basically the same size as this console in a way. So you basically have two of those, but that being said, you would have stupid amount of power for such a small device and what it needs to run almost any game. Then besides that, we have our SD card reader, which, like I mentioned, probably stay away from using it. And then our headphone jack, which is pretty nice to have included. You obviously also have Bluetooth support, so you can connect your headphones, like wireless ones, if you want to. So that's no big deal. Now, one thing that you don't really see right here is any kind of USB Type A port. So what you could do is use the Type-C as a way of it for a dongle, and then have just a couple different USB A and plug in things like your mouse, keyboards, and so on. And it will work as you would expect from a Windows device. Now, another thing, the little joysticks right here, they do feel nice. They are a little bit soft compared to the Xbox. Xbox has a little bit more resistance on them. These feel like they have softer springs in them, so they're much easier to push compared to something like an Xbox controller. But that being said, when you're holding the device, they do feel really nice in your hand. The placement for them is pretty good, though this isn't very good. So I do need to shift my hand a little bit in a different way, so this is a little bit weird. As a typical kind of gamer, just put that in perspective. When you're holding a Xbox controller, right? You can see that I'm holding it normally. None of my fingers are just kind of like out of the position, and basically my thumb covers all the buttons right here, and I can just shift it to the side and also have my thumb directly on the joystick. This is like fully stretched out. It's basically in the middle of my like thumb right here, so it feels pretty nice, and I can obviously easily access all of these. Here on the other hand side, if I place my hands so they fit correctly over these buttons, they do fit over this, but then this is like, what the heck, it's like at the end of my thumb, so I would need to just kind of like shift it in this kind of more like a claw grip almost. It's not very comfortable, and then you obviously have to like completely shift your position of the hand. As you can probably see, my hand moving completely out of the way to get onto this. So personally, I'd prefer a little joystick right here to be a little bit higher, somewhere like closer to here. Then this would make it easier to use here, and then swap to the buttons. But just a personal preference, kind of like it's right here. This is pretty good position, I would say. Now it could be that it's just a little bit lower, because I think they are in a relatively the same spot, or the joystick is a little bit lower position than, for instance, like the Y buttons. That's why. But yeah, that's just a personal little gripe. Maybe my hands are a little bit too small, petite little hands, baby hands, so that could be a problem, but I don't know. Anyway, one thing that I didn't mention for anyone who is still watching this, possibly, is the performance, which I'll be probably doing a separate video for that. I just running a couple of different benchmarks, but Asus claims that it's at 15 watts, what was it, 50% faster than Steam Deck, which this is obviously a direct competitor to it, and at 30 watts, it's double the performance. Now, when it comes down to 10 watts, from what I've seen from Linus' video, 10 watts, Steam Deck obviously just smashes this quite hard, but at 15 watts, yeah, this thing pulls out pretty good, and at 30 watts it should do even better. So it is a pretty powerful device, but keep in mind, more power means less battery life, so you kind of have to have a trade-off. When it comes down to low power gaming, Steam Deck will obviously just win. And one thing that Steam Deck also has that this device does not have is the little trackpads that you have right here on the Steam Deck, which might be very interesting to some people and very useful. You don't have that here, unfortunately. But anyway, the device obviously is pretty great. It's a really nice piece of hardware, and I'll basically be looking into like checking it out a little bit more in depth just to see how it functions. But with that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.